Good morning, South End Church, and welcome to this Sunday's guided worship, and happy Eastertide. He is risen. Eastertide, Eastertide, the effects of the resurrected life of Jesus in the kingdom of God. That's what Eastertide means. It's the season after the resurrection, before the ascension of Jesus. If you're like, the ascension, Eastertide, we'll get there. But today, Eastertide, I want to welcome you to the effects of the resurrected life of Jesus in the kingdom of God. You know, church history is cool. We get to look back and see what Christians and Christian communities on multiple different continents have done over the years. You know, before the second century, right toward the beginning, as Christians were gathering together on Sunday, they did set aside a special day and a special calendar, a moment to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. Even though every Sunday is Resurrection Sunday, they set aside a separate time in order to do that. And one of the ceremonies that was very familiar to the church communities around the world early on, way back, was a foot washing ceremony. A foot washing ceremony, something that maybe nowadays you're used to seeing on Thursday or maybe even Good Friday, but this was an Easter practice. Why? Because they believed Jesus when he said that the kingdom of heaven is here now, and they wanted to model their communities after their king and his kingdom. Eastertide is the kingdom of God. And over the next 4 weeks, we're going to explore the connection between Easter and the resurrection and the kingdom of God as Jesus talks about it, as Jesus displays it, as Jesus lives it out and brings it. And you're invited to the party. Yeah, you and me, each and every one of us, we're invited into this journey together. So I want to encourage you. The photos that you see that represent a beautiful springtime, which might surprise you if you've been stuck in your house. Spring is among us here and there. We're getting peaks of it. And so it's beautiful. The photos that you see guided throughout your worship, wonderful flowers taken from Zane Kang, a friend of mine who's one of the pastors over at Park Street Church. I stole these photos from his Facebook page, although I did ask him, so it's not quite stealing. He gave me permission. He asked me what it was for. I told him Eastertide. And so thank you to Zane, Pastor Zane, for providing those photos, beautiful flowers. Those were taken in Arlington, Spy Pond, if anybody's familiar with that. And then I want to draw your attention to the opening song, Christ is risen, he's risen indeed. Yes, it's an Easter song because we're in Eastertide. Fun fact, I think that song was recorded in 2011 at a big conference, and I know that because Leona, my wonderful, amazing wife, Leona and I were actually there at that Keith and Kristen Getty concert back in 2011. Grace and Apollo did not even remotely exist. The idea of moving to Boston was not even on our radar, and yet a seed was planted not too long after that, and here we are 7 years later. And so our voices are in that concert, so I guess in some sense we're all connected to that, but it's a beautiful song. If you remember, Keith and Kristen Getty set us off at the closing of last week. They're going to open us up with Christ is risen. He's risen indeed. I pray that you would create space in your own heart and mind over the next few moments as you work your way through this guided worship.